All right, so welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be looking at something pretty different.
Yeah, definitely different.
It's a collection of YouTube video transcripts
Mm-hmm.
and song lyrics.
Mm.
All of this is centered around a German group called Novapak
Yes.
and a character named Florian.
Right.
It's almost like we've stumbled on like a musical mystery novel here.
Yeah, it is kind of unusual source material, isn't it?
It is.
A lot of it is coming from this YouTube channel called DOZACREW,
Okay.
and it's mostly song lyrics,
Okay.
but there's also some spoken word pieces too.
Interesting.
And the imagery is wild, like lots of darkness and fear,
Hmm.
and this recurring figure of the Sandman who preys on children. It's really creepy stuff.
Yeah, and Florian is kind of everywhere. Like one minute he's out drinking with his buddies,
Exactly.
and then the next minute he's this menacing, dream-stealing figure.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, are we dealing with one guy? A bunch of different Florians?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this all just a metaphor that the band has kind of created?
Well, that is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I think is so fascinating here is that the line between what is real and what is fiction is intentionally blurred.
Okay.
Like, for example, some lyrics mention real places in Germany
Mm-hmm.
and even a possible birthday for Florian. So it's like Novapak is daring us to try and figure out what's real and what's part of their artistic creation.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Musically, Novapak is, they're all over the place. You have rap, metal, you've got folk elements,
Yeah.
even some pop influences. It's this strange brew that somehow works.
Yes, and their use of medleys and interludes. I think it really adds to this like fragmented, dreamlike quality.
Yeah.
It's not your typical album experience at all. I
Right.
think they're deliberately subverting expectations, both musically and narratively.
Yeah, but even with all of that, like the stylistic variation, there's this consistent thread of dark and often kind of nightmarish imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And this is particularly when it comes to the Sandman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not your friendly neighborhood Sandman. This guy is straight out of like a Grimm's fairy tale.
Exactly. Novapak is tapping into those I think those primal fears that we all have.
Mhm.
You know, anxieties about things that lurk in the shadows,
Yeah.
especially the ones that threaten innocence and things like that.
Right, yeah.
So the Sandman embodies that.
Yeah.
But what makes it even more intriguing is
Right.
that he's not just some like external boogeyman.
Right.
He seems very linked to Florian.
Okay, so let's dive into Florian a little
Yeah.
bit. We've got like a whole cast of characters wrapped up in this one name.
Right.
So in Durstnot, we get like this party animal Florian, right?
Yes.
The guy that's downing turpentine with his friends when the booze runs out.
Exactly.
What does that tell us about him?
I think there's a bit of reckless abandon there, kind of like this chaotic energy
Okay.
that almost seems to fuel him. But it also kind of hints at this like desperation,
Oh, good.
this need to escape reality through, whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
It's not just about having a good time. It's like pushing those boundaries
Yeah.
and maybe even numbing some deeper pain.
Okay. Then you've got Sandman Florian,
Right.
who's, he's basically a terror
Yeah.
in these lullabies from hell.
Oh, yeah.
He sings about stealing children's eyes
Hmm.
and hoarding their dreams in a sack. I mean, it's terrifying, but also weirdly fascinating.
It is, and that's where I think the sack motif becomes really interesting.
Okay.
On the surface, it's obviously like a creepy visual,
Right.
but symbolically it could represent this possessive desire to like control or consume.
Yeah.
Like Florian as the Sandman is trying to fill some void within himself by taking from others.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got the party animal, the nightmare fuel.
Right.
Oh, and we can't forget our new sticker Florian,
Of course not.
the mailbox vandalizing prankster.
Yes.
What's going on there?
Well, I think it's interesting to consider this in light of the song Creepy Coppelius.
Okay.
Florian seems to have this rebellious streak, this rejection of societal norms.
Mhm.
And so I think the Arnu sticker persona could be a manifestation of that.
Okay.
This way of lashing out against the world, even if it is through, seemingly harmless pranks.
So is this darker side, this urge to rebel, something that that coexists with like the party animal Florian?
Right.
Or is there like a progression happening here, a descent into something more sinister?
It's really hard to say for sure, especially since Novapak doesn't give us like a linear narrative.
Right.
But I think what's fascinating is how these contrasting sides of Florian might actually be connected.
Hmm.
Maybe the recklessness and the rebellion are both attempts to mask some sort of deeper insecurity or fear.
Okay, and then there's botanist Florian,
Yeah.
who seems like a complete 180 from all that.
Yeah.
He's out there celebrating his garden and singing about nature in these almost whimsical songs like Frische Floristik and Bodenlos Botanik.
Right. And this is where the analysis gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because is this love of nature like a genuine escape?
Hmm.
A way for Florian to find peace and connect with something pure? Or is it just another facade, a way to hide from the darkness that's, clearly haunting him?
And then in G.R.D, Florian is like completely lost
Oh, yeah.
when it comes to technology. He can't even use the keyboard. I mean, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But what's the significance of this like technophobe Florian
Right.
in the grand scheme of things?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that we should definitely explore further. Does this suggest this disconnect between Florian and the modern world?
Mm-hmm.
Is he clinging to nature because it represents something simpler,
Right.
something that he understands, or is it something else entirely?
So many Florians, so little time.
I know, right?
It's like Nova Puck is giving us all these pieces of a puzzle, but they're not telling us how to put it together.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so captivating.
Yeah.
It's not about finding a simple answer. It's about, exploring the possibilities,
Right.
the different interpretations.
Mhm.
It's about actively engaging with the material and drawing our own conclusions.
Okay, but before we get too lost in the weeds here,
Okay.
let's take a step back
Yeah.
and look at the big picture.
All right.
We've got this quote from the source material that says, Nova Puck is the name of the music band. This has nothing directly to do with Florian.
Oh, wow.
So what does that tell us?
That is a crucial detail.
Yeah.
It suggests that Florian is actually separate from the band itself,
Mm.
perhaps even a fictional creation.
Yeah.
So it really challenges our assumptions
Yeah.
about whether he's a real person or a composite character.
Right.
It blurs those lines even further.
All right, so we've got this multifaceted character, this band that's playing with our expectations, and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
That's for sure.
Where do we go from here?
Well, let's delve into some of the recurring themes
Okay.
and see if they can maybe shed some light on this mystery.
All right.
Join us in part 2 as we continue our deep dive into the world of Nova Pack and the enigmatic Florian. So welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Nova Pack and the enigma that is Florian.
Yeah, there's a lot of ambiguity,
Right.
a lot of open questions.
Yeah, but sometimes I think the most intriguing stories are the ones that don't actually give us all the answers.
Absolutely. It's like Nova Pack is handing us this map, right, with all of these intriguing landmarks, but they've ripped out the roads connecting them.
Right, exactly.
We have to forge our own paths.
Yes, and I think that's where those recurring themes and motifs we touched on earlier, I think they come in.
Yeah.
They're like breadcrumbs,
Okay.
clues that might help us navigate this this kind of labyrinthine world that Nova Pack has created.
All right, so let's follow those breadcrumbs.
Okay.
We talked about the sack
Okay.
and its possible connection to Florian's desire for control, maybe even a fear of emptiness. What other symbols kind of jump out at you?
Well, one that appears quite frequently,
Okay.
especially in connection with the Sandman and violence, is the color red.
Oh, interesting.
It's used in a very visceral way,
Okay.
often associated with blood, the Sandman's eyes,
Yeah.
even like a sense of urgency or danger.
It's like a visual shorthand for all the unsettling stuff, right?
Exactly.
Even if we don't consciously pick up on it, that color red is triggering those feelings of unease, kind of connecting those darker elements in our minds.
Precisely. And it's not just visual either. The German lyrics
Right.
often employ a lot of wordplay and double meanings. For instance, like the word sand can refer to both the literal substance and to time slipping away,
Oh, wow.
like sand through an hourglass.
That adds a whole other layer of meaning.
Right.
It's like there's this undercurrent of mortality
Yeah.
that's running through these songs, the sense that everything is fleeting,
Right.
especially innocence in childhood.
Exactly. And that ties back into, the Sandman's whole deal, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
stealing those precious things, those fleeting moments of childhood wonder.
And that brings us to another interesting theme.
Okay.
The struggle between light and darkness
Mm-hmm.
between creation and destruction.
Yeah.
We see this most explicitly in songs like Pack Schlägt,
Yeah.
where the Sandman actually battles Krampus,
Oh, right.
another figure from European folklore.
Yes.
It's like a clash of the titans. But I wonder, is this a literal battle, or could it represent something more internal,
Oh, I see what you mean.
like a conflict within Florian himself?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, if we consider the Sandman as representing Florian's darker impulses
Mm-hmm.
and Krampus as embodying, his more chaotic, rebellious side,
Okay.
the song takes on a whole new meaning. It becomes this battle for dominance within Florian's psyche.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how all these pieces might fit together.
Yeah.
We've got this inner turmoil that's being represented by these mythical figures.
Right.
The fear of losing innocence
Mm-hmm.
and the struggle to reconcile those darker impulses.
Right.
So where do those seemingly peaceful songs about nature, where do those fit into all of this?
Well, that's where it gets even more complex, I think.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, songs like Fröhliche Floristik could
Yeah.
represent this like genuine yearning for peace,
Okay.
a connection to something pure and life-affirming.
Right.
It's almost as if Florian is seeking refuge in nature, finding solace amidst the chaos.
But on the other hand, it could also be a form of denial, right?
Exactly.
Like maybe he's trying to convince himself that everything is okay,
Right.
that he can escape the darkness by surrounding himself with beauty.
Exactly. And that ambiguity is what makes it so compelling.
Yeah.
Because, we're left wondering if this love of nature is like a genuine path to healing
Mm-hmm.
or simply a way to avoid confronting those deeper issues.
Okay, and then there's instrumental interludes.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have lyrics,
Right.
but they definitely contribute to the overall atmosphere. I mean, some of them are downright unsettling.
Absolutely. It's like Novapak is using those interludes to like create a mood,
Okay.
to give us a moment to reflect
Right.
or to like, heighten the tension.
Yeah.
They're like those quiet moments in a horror movie
Right.
where something bad is about to happen.
Or maybe they're like those gaps in the map we were talking about.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, we have to like fill in the blanks,
Hmm.
create our own interpretations of those silent spaces.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It goes back to the idea of the listener as like, an active participant,
Mhm.
as a co-creator of the narrative.
And speaking of those gaps in the map, there's another recurring motif that I think might help us navigate.
Okay.
The Waldgeist,
Oh,
or forest spirit.
right.
What's the deal with that?
Well, that's the beauty of it. We don't know for sure.
Oh, okay.
It could be, a source of wisdom, a connection to the natural world that guides Florian towards healing.
Right.
But it could also represent something darker, something lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Waldgeist often appears in songs where Florian seems to be at his most vulnerable.
Oh,
Like he's grappling with his identity or battling those inner demons.
right. And that ambiguity kind of leaves us wondering,
Yeah.
is the Waldegeist like a force for good,
Yeah.
helping Florian find his way?
Right.
Or is it something more ambiguous,
Mm.
perhaps even manipulating him for its own purposes?
Okay, I am officially creeped out.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it's also kind of thrilling to be like this deep in the rabbit hole.
I know. It's fascinating.
Yeah, we've got these intricate layers of meaning,
Mm-hmm.
these contrasting characters and themes
Right.
that keep weaving in and out of the narrative.
Yeah, it's like we're peeling back the layers of an onion,
Yeah.
and each layer reveals something new and unexpected.
And at the center of it all
Right.
is Florian,
Yeah.
a man of many faces,
Mhm.
a reflection of our own internal struggles and contradictions.
Right.
But as we've seen, the question of who he really is, I mean, it remains unanswered.
It really does.
Is he a composite of the band members, a fictional character,
Mm-hmm.
or perhaps some blend of both?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And it's one that we'll have to grapple with as we head into the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Join us as we examine the remaining clues and try to piece together the puzzle of Florian's true identity.
All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. We've been digging through Novapak's music, and it's been a wild ride. Dark imagery, shifting identities, and a whole lot of questions about this mysterious Florian.
Yeah, it really has been quite the journey. We've explored, I mean, so many different facets of Florian's character. But the question of his true identity, I mean, it remains this tantalizing puzzle.
It feels like we've been circling around this idea of Florian as like, this composite character, someone who embodies different aspects of the band members themselves,
Yes.
their fears, desires, maybe even their struggles.
I think that interpretation definitely holds weight, especially considering the quote we discussed earlier. Nova Pack is the name of the music band. This has nothing directly to do with Florian. It's
Yeah.
like they're drawing this clear line between the band's reality and the fictional world they've created.
But then you have these hints of real-life inspiration, like that birthday reference in our new sticker, Hyperblast, and the mentions of specific places in Germany. So it's almost like they're deliberately blurring the lines, daring us to figure out what's real and what's part of their artistic vision.
That is what makes it so intriguing. It's like they're playing with the boundaries of reality,
Yeah.
creating this hall of mirrors where everything is like reflected and distorted. And within that distortion, Florian becomes this enigmatic figure
Right.
who can simultaneously be a real person and a fictional construct.
It brings us back to the question we've been wrestling with throughout this entire deep dive. Who eyes Florian?
Right.
Is there a definitive answer, or are we chasing a phantom here?
Perhaps the answer lies in the very nature of the search itself. You know, remember that note at the end of our new sticker Hyperblast? At the end of our new sticker Hyperblast, there's a valuable hint. It's almost like Novapak is acknowledging the detective work that we're doing, like inviting us to participate in this unraveling of meaning.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, we've given you all the pieces. Now it's up to you to assemble the puzzle. But like, what if the puzzle is designed to be unsolvable?
Right.
What if the valuable hint is the realization that there is no single answer, that the journey is more important than the destination?
That's a fascinating thought. Maybe the real discovery, it's not about pinpointing Florian's true identity,
Right.
but rather about the process of exploration itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's about embracing the ambiguity, the multiple perspectives, the layers of meaning that exist within Novapak's music.
It's like we're all detectives in a film noir, chasing shadows and piecing together clues. But ultimately, the truth remains elusive. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's part of the beauty of it all.
Exactly. It's about the thrill of the chase. The intellectual stimulation of grappling with these complex themes and ideas. It's about recognizing that that sometimes the questions are more interesting than the answers.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener?
Yeah.
What have you taken away from this deep dive into the world of Nova Pack and the enigmatic Florian?
Perhaps you've gained, like, you know, a new appreciation for the power of music
Yeah.
to evoke emotions, to challenge your assumptions, and to just spark your imagination. Maybe you found yourself thinking about, you know, the nature of identity,
Right.
the masks we wear,
Yeah.
the different roles we play in our own lives.
Or maybe you've simply enjoyed the ride, the thrill of the mystery, the satisfaction of engaging with something that demands your active participation.
Whatever your takeaway, we hope this deep dive has left you with a sense of wonder, a thirst for more knowledge,
Right.
and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
Because sometimes the most rewarding journeys are the ones that lead us not to a destination, but to a new way of seeing the world.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. Until next time.